Good afternoon, all.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah. So, if you recall what we have been discussing, today we'll wind up this chapter. Okay. So, only settlement part was left. So, don't get panic. Again, I will go through this one. Okay. Uh, I have covered last time little in a hurry. So, again, we'll see what is this allowable settlement is all about. So, what you do is try to read our Aurora book, okay, and that don't read this PDF. Uh, Instead, you purchase 200-300 rupees book. Always better, so you can prepare for your competitive exams. You can underline and you can read. Okay, so always better to have hard copy compared to this soft copy. So here, so what I was telling you in the last class, there are two types of settlements. One is maximum settlement for a different foundation, I would say. Maybe isolated foundation and the raft foundation. Suppose we have two types of foundation nowadays. Okay. So maximum settlement, we can allow more maximum, but this differential settlement is dangerous for us. That's what I was trying to tell you. Because when the both the column settles differently, then there would be a problem. You could see a lot of cracks in the building. So this differential settlement generally 50% of this maximum settlement. Okay, that's what it is given here. Okay, and what it says is the settlement can be range up to 300 also, from 20 to 300. That means 30 centimeter. If everything, all the columns are settles, I mean uniformly, we can go even 2 meter also. It is given somewhere here, right? Okay, 2 meter also. Uh, but it should be uniform. So maximum settlement will allow much as possible. Okay, IS code says so. So that's all about the 2 meter and other thing. But actual the IS code, what IS code says, how much settlement we should have it. So it permits the maximum settlement of 40 mm for isolated foundation and sandy soil and 65 mm for those on the clay soil. So again, when you come down here, what it is given, this T equal delta by L. Here again, what it says, if the differential settlement is between two column, which is spaced at the distance of L is delta, okay, the angular distortion or a till T is given by delta by L. What is that? If the differential settlement between the two columns, imagine two columns which are spaced between those is L is delta. Delta is the differential settlement. Okay. Then how do you find out the angular distortion? How generally you find out the angular distortion? Delta by L. That's what it is given in the table. Now, finally, when you come to the conclusion about this allowable settlement, what it says is for a general practice, I would say, okay, different settlement is limited to 25 mm in sandy soil and 40 mm in clay soil. That you remember it. Forget about other things. Generally, for a sandy soil, we'll be having differential settlement 25 mm for a sandy soil and 40 mm for a clay soil. Differential settlement. Now, here they have given the previously I have shown you. Here the tabular column is given maximum and the differential settlement. This tabular column is important. They may ask in the exam. So for isolated footing, what it says is maximum is 50 centimeter, 50% of this 25. Okay, differential settlement generally, or it can be written as 0.0033 L, like that also it is given. IS code has given. Steel structure, RCC structure. When it is coming to the raft foundation, it is 75 mm. Okay, and angular distortion also given. For sandy and hard clay and for the plastic clay, both has been given here. 100 mm, 100 mm. This is 50 and 75. So what does it mean for raft foundation? We are allowing maximum settlement or differential settlement more. That means if the raft foundation settles more, there won't be much problem because it is a mat, complete mat. Understand? So maximum settlement we are allowing for the mat foundation, raft foundation high compared to the isolated foundation. That you should remember it. Understand? Maximum settlement or a differential settlement, we will allow more for the raft foundation compared to the isolated foundation. That you should remember. Okay. Now coming to this allowable soil pressure. Allowable soil pressure. So Q&A. If a foundation is limited either by a net safe bearing capacity or a safe settlement pressure. So we know that how to find out the net safe bearing capacity. Already we know that QNS, okay, or a net safe settlement pressure with that particular allowable settlement. Okay. So here these people have given a different methods. Now when coming to the PEC method, so this is allowable pressure, okay, for a cohesionless soil. Suppose you focus on the cohesionless soil, this PEC and the Terjagis gave the charts for the safe bearing pressure, okay, including a total settlement of 25 mm and differential settlement of 19 mm for different size of footings. So allowable settlement, they says that 25 mm and differential settlement is 19 mm. For that particular case, this Terjagi and Peck has done their research and they have given this equation. Safe settlement pressure. So this is also important. Here CWN is given, N is the SPT. That means based on the based on the SPT value, we can find out this safe settlement pressure also. Safe settlement, that means within a settlement, what is the safe pressure? So already we have seen, I have told in many times that once you conduct the SPT test, the rest of the things we can manage. Okay. So by using the N values, SPT N values, we can find out the safe settlement pressure for a cohesionless soil. S is the settlement, CW is the water table correction factor. Or here, this is given for the 25 mm settlement. Here for the 40 mm settlement, he has changed this formula and he has given the chart also here. N values, soil bearing pressure. Okay, in this one, suppose N value is 30, directly you can take it the soil bearing pressure as 450 or 500 here. Understood? So for different settlement, allowable settlement, okay, for 25 mm or for 40 mm, he has given the formulas. Okay, CW also he has given the water table correction factor is equal to 0.5 plus 0.5 DW divided by DF like BF here. B DF is the depth of the footing, B is the width of the footing, DW depth of the water table below the ground surface. So likewise, again this TENJ also given the formulas and Mehraf also given the formulas. These bowls also you will study more about these bowls in when you do the masters in geotechnical engineering. And finally, this IS code also been given this cohesionless soil allowable soil pressure for cohesionless soil. Okay, so TENJ also given in 1962 this particular formula where here RD is the depth correction factor again which is given by 1 plus df by b wb. Already we know that water correction factor. N is the here N value is given, N is the already you know SPT number for 30 centimeter. Okay, so 40 will do and rest 45 will do, rest top 15 will neglect it, and next 15 plus 15 we will consider, that also we know. So TENJ express the chart by given by the Terjag and the PEC in the form of the following formulas. Okay, these are the formulas. So no need to remember these things. Okay, I'm not going to if it is open exam I may ask, but thing is you should have aware that because everything I'm teaching you. Okay, so from the N values, we can get it everything. That's what I'm trying to tell. Mayor also given uh, for a 25 mm settlement, these formulas. Bowels also given. So suggested that net allowable pressure given by Mehraf can be safely increased by 50%. That means whatever formulas he has given, he has again the 50% can be. So these are the recent research, I would say. So by using the n values, how we can find out the uh, safe pressure. So what we do is IS code has given this particular equation, also given the uh, chart also. That means if the foundation depth is increasing 2, 3, 4 meter, these are the n values. What are the allowable bearing pressure can be given. Easily we can find out if it is 40, what is the, if the width of the foundation is what, sorry, foundation width is 4 meters suppose, and if the 40 is the n values, how we can find out? Near about 450 to 500. Likewise, it is given for different settlement, okay, for 20 differential settlement or 40 allowable settlement and so on. Then next, coming to the allowable soil pressure for the cohesive soils. So previously what it is given is the cohesionless soil. Now it is a cohesive soil. For cohesive soil, we have for n values uh, for different width. Okay, the width is changing. These are the n values and how we can find the allowable pressure. This is for cohesive soil. Okay, for 40 centimeter settlement it is given, and so on. And finally, this chapter is ended with presumptive bearing capacity. So because the chapter is particular on the bearing capacity, plate load test anyway we have seen this one. Okay, this particular table is presumptive safe bearing capacity. Look at this table very carefully. So by using this table we can guess that how much bearing capacity one the particular soil will have it. IS code is given, New York code also given, presumptive safe bearing capacity. That means for a rocks, okay, hard rocks, sound rocks, okay, hard sound rocks, laminated rocks, residual deposit. So these are the tons per meter square it is given. For a non-cohesive soil like compact gravel, sand, it would be generally 45 tons per meter square. Okay. For a compacted and the dry coarse sand, it will be 45 again, near about 45. Compacted dry and medium sand, 25. And loose gravel and fine sand and so on, 10 to 25, it will vary. For a cohesive soil again, if it is hard and stiff, you will get 45 tons per meter square. What is this 45 tons per meter square? After calculating your bearing capacity, either Terzagi's method or any other method, whatever you use it, safe bearing capacity, if you calculate by providing the factor of 50 and other things safely, which you can apply, that if you get in this range, then we say that whatever analysis you have done is correct. So this table will give general idea about your safe bearing capacity. Understand? So with that, we have done with this chapter, and I have gone through numericals also, some of the problems also I have gone through, how we can find out this bearing capacity. Before that, anyway, I will show you some of the, again we'll go there anyway, this particular book. So what you are going to read this in this book is, try to purchase new book, okay? Site investigation, earth pressure and so on. Bearing capacity of Visala foundation. This we have discussed, okay? So definition, everything we have seen. Some of the presumptive, some of the I would say topic I covered little quickly. Whatever important I have covered, everything I have covered it. Whatever important, other things, no, this undergraduate level may not be required in deep, but you can go through and check your competitive exams paper, what type of questions and from which they are, I mean, asking. Okay, mostly Terjagi and other things only they'll ask. local shear failure, general shear failure, and so on. May have also somewhere 1 or 2 questions they may ask, but most of the thing is in and around that one only. So 587. Okay, we just check it. So here we have started with this bearing capacity of a shallow foundation here. So initially we have seen this basic definition: what is ultimate bearing capacity, what is net ultimate bearing capacity, net shape bearing capacity by multiplying, dividing with the factor of 50/3. Generally we take 3, okay, for foundation. Gross bearing capacity. This definition are very important. Now I am telling you which is important for you, okay? Basic definitions are very important. After that, we have seen how to find out the gross and net. Okay, that anyway gamma df you will detect, that's what it is shown here. Okay, minus gamma df you will get the net ultimate bearing capacity. So Rankine's analysis, yeah, one thing, this one of this we have seen, I don't know. Here what I am trying to tell you is this Rankine's analysis, what they have done is this consider the plastic equilibrium of two adjacent soil element, okay, and he has given directly this formula is very important for you guys. Depth of the foundation, how we can find out once you given the our ultimate bearing capacity based on the Rankine's theory, Rankine's analysis, how we can find out the ultimate bearing capacity. Everyone has their analysis, okay. So are this particular formula is very important actually. It is occasionally used to determine minimum depth of the foundation. So they will ask load intensity, they will give in the exam, unit weight they will give. Load intensity we know, unit weight no, we know the soil 5 values, and they will ask what is the minimum depth of the foundation required by using the Rankine's method. Understand? So this particular formula is very important. I would remember that they will ask in all the competitive exams. So intensity they will give, unit weight they will give, and they will ask to find out the minimum depth of the foundation, determine the up to what depth we have to keep the foundation, minimum depth, minimum. And some of the analysis we have seen, they have used just punching a failure, directly keeping the foundation on the soil itself, okay. So by using this analysis, so this one already same thing, we are using the stress related, the sigma 1, sigma 3, sigma 1, sigma 3 and all similar way we have seen many problem you can see in the synthetic material chapter also, okay. And how to find out the major principal stresses, okay. From that only we are just finding out it, these equations, okay. So this tan square 45, you are aware of all these things. So whatever the measure this particular thing is there is considered as the ultimate bearing capacity. And finally this equation is very important in that. So Terzaghi's analysis, this not there in the syllabus here, okay. So this particular thing, so Pandit we have started, and from the Pandit we have seen this Terzaghi's, this will act as a part of the footing 3 zones and so on, ultimate bearing capacity for a cohesive site. We have seen the limitation of this one. What he has done is valued only for the footing with perfectly smooth, okay, this particular, and but our base is rough, okay. Then we have went to the this Terzaghi's bearing capacity. Assumptions are very important for this Terzaghi's bearing capacity. The footing base is rough, that is more important here, okay. And this particular part is elastic equilibrium. This particular A, B, C behave as a elastic equilibrium as a part of the footing, and this will be a radial shear zone, this would be in a passive zone, okay. And we have derived it, and finally we found this equation CNC plus gamma df nq plus 0.5 and so on. This equation very important, ultimate bearing capacity. After that, NC, NQ and gamma is given, and I said that it depends on the only value of phi. NC, NQ, and gamma. Okay. Then there are tabular column is given for NC, NQ, and gamma. This local shear failure, general shear failure. What is the difference between local shear failure? Three figures I have shown you. Okay, general, local, and punching shear failure. So how it looks like. Here it would be sudden, and here there would be jerk, and there would be some movement of the footing downwards, then fails. Okay, and same it will observe the heave over the foundation. Here there would be punching, there is no heave of the soil here, directly punching. And as I said, these local and general shear failures are important. This general shear failure occurs in the dense sand. This is would be in a medium, and this would be in a soft. And n prime, n dash we have given for the local shear failure. This charts n dash, local shear failure. Wherever dash is there, R for the local shear failure, this N. And what again, what other thing will change here? C becomes mobilized, 2/3 of the C. 5 pm M mobilized become tan inverse of 2/3 of the tan P, or tan phi M is equal to 2/3 of the tan phi. So if you apply these two things and the NC, NQ, gamma, the equation becomes like this. NC prime, NQ prime, and N gamma prime for the local shear failure. This one, okay. This is very important. Their diagrams, local shear failure, general shear failure, Terzaghi's what is assumption are very important here. Water table correction factor are also very important. They will give in the exams what will happen to the bearing capacity if the water table is increasing. That also we have seen water table correction factor, and generalized equation is given here. Water table correction factors depend on EA. If you remember this equation, more than enough. And how the bearing capacity equation changes for circular and the square footing. The difference is here 1.2 will come. Here square means 0.4, circular means 0.3. Strip footing it will be 0.5 without this 1.2. Okay, strip footing only CNC gamma DF NQ 0.5 gamma BN. That is Terzaghi's equation. The same thing can be applied for the square and the circular foundation. Only thing is 1.2 it will come here, 0.4 it will come here. And the final Mehrab we have seen little advanced. He says that failure will take place above the foundation. Okay, above the foundation there would be failure. It is more general than the Terzaghi. This Mehrab studies theory you will see more when you do MTech and all. So what are the different things for Mehrab? For cohesive soil and cohesionless soil is already we have seen. Only difference is NC, NQ, N gamma is changing here. Everything is same. The equation is Terzaghi is only NC, NQ, and he has given his own values for cohesion and cohesionless soil, and he has given the chart also for different NC, NQ, and gamma with different phi values. Easily you can find out, and wherever if it is asked by using the Mehrab, you have to use this equation. Okay. Then finally Hansen's bearing capacity. What this guy has done is in 1965, he has again considered these three more parameter more. The shape factor, that means any shape we can apply. The depth factor and the incline if the foundation is inclined and so on. Okay. So again he has given this NC these three factors: shape, depth, and the inclination factor. Again tabular column is given for this one, and slowly V6 has done it similar way, and he has given his own NC, NQ, and gamma. Only NC, NQ, and gamma is changing here, and we have copied from this V6, and finally IS code also been given. Okay. And after that, if you remember, I have told you how to find out the ultimate bearing capacity by using the N values. That means SPT. So it will come slowly here, SPT. This is Kempton's has given. Okay. This is the IS code for the cohesive side. NC values are given. Then finally, where I want to show is here. This is very important. Bearing capacity from the standard penetration test. That's what we do in consultancy. We go for the soil testing. We'll try to get the N values. By using the n value here, IS code has given. Apply n values water correction factor, it will give the ultimate bearing capacity. Net ultimate it will give. Okay, so that's what it is given. What will happen? I told you to go through the foundation is eccentric. Then the coming to the settlement part. Okay, so all the settlement is given, and finally look at that particular some of the charts it's given, and finally we came with this maximum settlement. We say that differential settlement is more harmful than the maximum settlement, and allowable pressure is given. Okay, soil pressure for cohesionless soil. So allowable pressure is based on this allowable settlement. Okay, so and that would be any minimum we have to take. Ultimate bearing capacity or allowable set, which is minimum, which is less, that we will take for our design. And finally, I have shown you some of the, these are the presumptive to give the idea about you, okay, how much bearing capacity one soil will have it in tons per meter square it is given. Then we have seen the, anyway, this plate load test we have seen last semester. Now some examples also we have seen. So how to find out the ultimate bearing capacity, how to find out the grass shape, net ultimate, and so on. If parameters are given, okay, from the table we can find out NC, NQ, and gamma. And if it is general shear failure, normal equation we have to use. If it is a local shear failure, we have to use mobilized. See, this anyway we have seen it. So with that, we have done with this chapter. Only thing is you read once this chapter, you take 2 to 3 days time. It will take 2 to 3 days. Then you will understand everything. It is not a rocket science that. So some of the people given their own research, okay, whether it may Mehrab, Skempton, or a Hansen, or a Terjagi, Prandtl, Rankines, and so on. Everyone has their own equations. So some of the equations, Terjagis, those equations are very famous and for undergraduate level, and other equations also famous if you do research, MTech and other things. But you have an idea about it, okay, what these guys has done it, and some semi-empirical equations been given based on the n values and so on, how to find out bearing capacity, how to find out the settlement and so on. So one reading is enough. So only thing is you have to read once properly because we cannot go that much slow covering